Good evening, everyone. Kevin Crouch here with South Metro Weather, and we are looking at, there it is. I was waiting for this to happen. New severe thunderstorm warning, just fresh issued, just off the presses here, northern half of Johnson County for this storm that has been kind of fluctuating recently as it made its way towards Granbury. It actually cycled down for a little bit. Now it's actually intensified. And so as we continue to watch this storm, that continues to move on to the east. We will see this storm continue to drop hail and possibly some strong winds, that kind of thing. So that's going to be the main concern here with this storm. This is not really a situation where we're looking at tornadic activity, rotation, any of that kind of stuff. I'm not seeing that at this point, or at least haven't in the last several minutes, but we do have the possibility of some hail and gusty winds with that storm as it continues to move eastward towards I-35 west. So it's moving into the Crescent area right now, going to be moving towards Cleburne, Burleson, Joshua there as it continues to move on. And then the other storm we're watching is in northwestern Bosque County right now, moving towards northern parts of, I would say, northwestern parts of Hill County here. So that will continue to move on to the east as well. We are under a severe thunderstorm watch. At least 3 of our 4 counties are, Ellis, Johnson, and Hill counties, until 9 o'clock tonight. So these storms, this is the list, this is the line rather, this is it for our area. We've been talking a lot about this severe weather event in the last couple of days, and over the course of the night last night, this morning, we were included then in an enhanced risk of severe weather. That was primarily done for the hail threat. Now, there's a lot of debate still about whether or not that enhanced risk was really necessary, but I can tell you at this point that it made sense from the standpoint that there was a heightened risk, I would say, of hail, and that would necessitate a higher level of awareness. However, when you look at the actual criteria that the Storm Prediction Center puts out there, it probably did not. Now, we are seeing higher coverage of these storms than I expected, and so that kind of makes me think that maybe they were onto something, but the forecast didn't really call for that at that time. Who knows? They could have been looking at that as a possibility, and so I would say for this area, I'm still not sure that we really qualify for an enhanced risk outcome here. But as we all know, with severe weather and weather in general, you're not always looking for the outcome. You're looking for the possibilities in terms of what to get people ready for. So regardless of what the Storm Prediction Center said earlier today, we are looking at the storms now, and this storm is moving. These storms are moving quite quickly. I know that this top storm, it was said, let's actually check the warning and see what it says in terms of that timeline. It says this thing is moving east at 45 miles per hour. Now, the southern storm, and everybody's going to ask about an ETA in every part of this area. So just give me a few minutes and we will get to kind of a timeline of different places. But the top storm moving around 45 miles per hour, this one billed at 60 miles per hour. I'm skeptical of that speed with that storm, but it is moving at a pretty good clip. So you can average those right around 50 miles per hour in terms of the movement of those storms. So it's going to be moving into Cleburne in the next several minutes. It's going to be moving towards Meridian there, I would say, in the next 10 to 15 minutes, and then we'll continue on to the east. I would say probably moving towards Hillsboro. I would say in the next 45 minutes or so, Waxahachie, probably closer to 45 minutes from now, and then I would say in Ennis and Corsicana, probably closer to an hour and 15 minutes, maybe somewhere in there. That's kind of what I'm looking at. So what I would like to do here, let me kind of step out of the way and put this try to put kind of a track up here. And again, this is a situation where we might be looking at a different, if this will cooperate with me here, we're looking at a bit of a different speed on different parts of this line, but I'm just going to do kind of an average here. And let's just put 50 miles per hour in there. I think that's pretty reasonable. And so if we move this over into the frame here so you can see that, so Walnut Springs, fairly close to the next 15 minutes or so. And then we can just go on down that line. Morgan about 750, Rio Vista about 752, Cleburne about 752, Joshua about 759, over to Covington about 8 o'clock. Looks like Alvarado, Mayfield about 8:05 or so, Itasca about 8:10 or 8:10, 8:08, 8:10, about 8:15 in Hillsborough, and Venus and Maypearl there, 8:20 or so in Midlothian and Milford. Going to be towards Forreston about 8:30, Waxahachie and Avalon about 8:30 or so, and then we go over to Blooming Grove about 8:39, Bardwell about 8:40, and then Palmer Garrett about 8:45, Palmer Garrett Ennis about 8:45, and so on and so forth from there. Creechville about 8:52. And so on. So that's kind of the timeline we're looking at, and so we will continue to follow these, and as we see this line come together, that might affect the speed of those. So that's not a hard commitment in terms of when to expect those in each place. That's just kind of an average. So it's going to be moving into the Cleburne area very quickly here, down towards the Meridian area there in Bosque County, moving into Walnut Springs right now, moving into Joshua, Burleson, Cleburne, and Keene very soon here. Again, I mentioned Meridian, and then on from there. So that's what we're watching right now. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the primary threat with these storms is going to be hail. We haven't really seen any kind of tornado warnings or anything of that sort. There is a tornado watch to our northwest, but that's not really an issue with the storms here in our area. We're just looking at some gusty winds and possibly some hail with those storms. A lot of lightning and thunder. I see the comment there about all the lightning and thunder in Keene. So yeah, you're going to have some noise and a light show with all of these storms. But really the hail threat, I would say hail-wise, this storm in the Walnut Grove area in northern Bosque County, that's going to be your stronger storm, probably the larger hail size. And then western Johnson County there as well, with some possible severe hail as well. And so let's continue to, I want to kind of get into the comments here. And I see that got like a weird, okay, I don't know what that was. And I see that there's some, trying to advertise in the comments there. If you want to advertise with us, send us an email, do it right. There are ways to advertise with us, but I ask that you work with us and do that correctly. But I will say, well, Haley, you're asking if Italy will get any hail. It's possible. I can't really give you that information right offhand right at this moment. So we will continue to follow these storms as they move eastward. But I don't really have a lot to give you for Waxahachie, Ennis, Hillsborough until those storms get closer. Right now, Johnson County is where those storms are moving in. Now I do need to take a moment and just talk about a few housekeeping items. I see that we've already got a Cash App donation, Mackenzie. Thank you so much for your generous donation through the Cash App. That is greatly appreciated there. And hearing a report that sirens are going off in Joshua, I can't verify that. We hear a lot of confusion here about sirens. People that aren't as familiar with those sirens think that a ambulance is a siren, and then there's actually, in Ellis County especially, a lot of new sirens going up. So there can be a lot of confusion when somebody puts in the comments that sirens are going off. What I want to make sure is clear is that there are many communities, indeed most communities, not all of them, but most communities in North Texas follow the guidelines in the North Central Texas community, North Central Texas Coalition of Governments. There we go. It's a mouthful, but that they recommend going into, they recommend the criteria at least saying for any municipality that the sirens are sounded not just for tornadoes, but for large hail and damaging winds. So probably the hail threat, if there are sirens going on in Joshua or across this area, it's not looking like we will see much tornado activity tonight. Just haven't really seen that with this complex. But if you do hear those, it doesn't necessarily mean there's a tornado. They're called tornado sirens colloquially, popularly, but that's not the proper term anymore because they are used as outdoor warning sirens and they're used for multiple different things. Vicky, you're asking if the cap has collapsed. I'm really not honestly sure what the status of the cap is. I haven't seen any sounding, so I don't want to speak out of turn here. What I will say is that it's very possible that these are just coming in and the cap was just not strong enough to slow them down. And so, that can be the situation sometimes. And so we'll maybe get a better idea tomorrow of kind of what happened there. But since I haven't personally actually looked and studied the status of the cap, I'm going to say I'm not sure if it's just weak enough that these are bulldozing through it or if that did collapse somehow. So I don't want to speak on something I didn't personally actually sit there and look at. So, and still a lot of questions about when they're going to get there, and we will get to ETAs here in just a moment. But these storms, one of the questions is, are they weakening as they move east? And there's, hold on just a second here. Got a lot of chaos going on in the house, and if you follow the page at all, you know that we've had animals in the vet and kids are out of school, and it's been a crazy day. So just checking in on them. But these storms, they do seem to be weakening somewhat as they move east. However, the difference is that these storms, as we see with a lot of them, have been cycling up and cycling down. So they'll weaken for a time and then they intensify after that. So we are in a situation where we're seeing that kind of happen off and on at times. Now, behind this system, we should not see any more storms tonight. At least that's what the models show, and I'm pretty sure we've got drier, stable air coming in behind these storms. So I don't think we're going to see any more storms tonight. We have to wait until Sunday, late Saturday, early Sunday. I haven't looked at the latest timing on that yet. We'll have more on that tomorrow, but late Saturday, early Sunday for our next chance of rain. Sunday we start clearing out, and then unfortunately it does look like we get another push of moisture right in time for that eclipse across North Texas that could bring in cloudy conditions. It's not really a situation right now where I can tell you for sure, but we're watching the forecast, watching the trends to see what we might expect on that eclipse night. And Jolyn, you're asking what's my favorite weather-related movie? Easy, Twister, hands down. Quick answer. So yeah, moving towards Cleburne, and it is going to be there very soon. I'm sure you're probably hearing it. And you are under a severe thunderstorm warning right now. And so possible there, you could have some large hail, some strong winds as this storm moves through. So just keep that in mind in the Cleburne area, just to answer that question. Now, the other thing I did need to talk about is, of course, we do have the Cash App and Venmo. I greatly appreciate all of the donations that we get through there. Always appreciated, especially with the Weather Cat racking up the Weather Cat Tiger and Pepper the puppy racking up vet bills. For whatever reason, they decided to both have things go on relatively close to each other. And both of those things need to be checked out. So I can personally tell you that Midlothian Animal ER is fantastic. And they actually have an urgent care over in the emergency room in Midlothian and then the urgent care in Arlington. Both of them are absolutely phenomenal. Definitely check them out if you have an urgent animal need. They will take care of you as they've taken care of my two fur babies. And we might get an appearance from the Weather Cat in here in just a little bit with his little bandage and his collar, his special collar on. So we'll see if we get a view of that. So these storms are continuing to move eastward, and plenty of heavy rain now. plenty of heavy rain here now, is what I was trying to say there. We are looking at a situation where these storms are moving fairly quickly. So I'm not terribly worried, and I'll get to Corsicana again here in a moment, but I'm not terribly concerned about flooding. Now, that said, we have had a lot of rain over the past couple of months, even the past few weeks, and so I won't be surprised if there's some brief pooling here and there, but these storms are moving fast enough to where they shouldn't be raining too much on one place or the other. So I really do think that we can probably avoid the flooding issues for tonight. And yeah, so some love for Midlothian Animal ER in the comment section there. I know that there's a question about Corsicana. Little early to talk about Corsicana at this time. Storms are still a fair distance away from there. And then, yeah, looking like these will move towards Red Oak, but not quite there yet. They're moving towards 35 West right now. If we kind of zoom out, here's a broader picture of what we're looking at. And so these storms are moving eastward, and Jamie said it's already sprinkling in Midlothian. What I'll say about the sprinkles in Midlothian, this is very, very moist air. I mean, I'm talking drenched moisture out there. And so it does not surprise me at all. Hold on a moment. My phone's blowing up and it doesn't want to open properly. So that's always fun. So let's see, where was I getting to there? Just had a lot of things come together. This line moving through, and we, again, let me just go to this. Let me just remind you of the watches here, get back on track. The watches, we do have a tornado watch northwest of us. Not here. We are under a severe thunderstorm watch. Only Ellis, Johnson, and Hill counties. I believe Dallas is included there too, but that's not one of our core counties. But Ellis, Johnson, Hill counties included until 9 p.m. That's when that expires. So Navarro County is not included in that. Now that may be expanded eastward as this line moves through, but for the moment we're not looking at any issue there. Now let's take a look at velocity here, kind of see what we see inside of this storm, and you could see some pockets of stronger winds in this storm here. I'm not seeing anything that has me immediately concerned. Now I'm getting notes, I'm getting multiple people saying that there's a warning for Ellis County here. I don't see that yet. Here near Joshua, that might be something to watch here, but I don't see the warning yet for Ellis County, so we'll see if that comes up. But here near Joshua, we're going to have to watch this little area right here to see. It's very close to the radar, so we're looking fairly low in the storm. So we will watch this near Joshua, where it looks like velocity radar may be trying to give us a little bit of an indication of some rotation. Now, that said, it's very close to the radar, which can be both good and bad. You can have a very close look at the storm, which means you're looking very low in the storm, so you get a decent indication. However, there can be times too when it's closer to the radar like that, you get more distortions. And so I'm not putting too much confidence in that yet to really sounding any alarm bells, but we will watch that near Joshua there. If you have any hail, it's probably going to be between Cleburne and Godley here. So that's probably where we're looking at the higher hail threat here, and hearing more indications of a warning in Ellis County, but I'm just not seeing that anywhere. Now, there is a warning that goes up against Ellis County. You can see right here that for Venus, I mean, this thing goes all the way up to the county line. So if you're west of Midlothian in Johnson County, then yes, you are under a warning, but I don't see a warning for Ellis County yet. Yeah, Venus, yeah, that severe thunderstorm warning has been in place for a few minutes here. So that actually happened about 20 minutes ago, just after we jumped on the air here. And we'll keep looking at velocity here. And we're going to continue to watch this here, because if you look just south of Joshua, that is an interesting signature there, and we've had these turn out to not really be anything before, but that is an interesting signature. because you can look at that. I mean, you can see that kind of a hook there. So we're going to continue to keep an eye on that. I would say let's keep watching this signature here in Johnson County, because that is definitely looking particularly interesting here. My phone just will not cooperate tonight. Let me check something here. Okay, a tornado warning has been issued. There we go. So we have a tornado warning now in northern Johnson County. So this signature we were watching, very clear rotation there. I was actually going to check with somebody, but here we have that tornado warning now. So a tornado warning issued for northern, really the northeastern quadrant of Johnson County here. This is the signature. This is what you're looking at. This is where you have the velocity view. So this is showing you that we have rotating winds. You can see the winds going in, and then you can see the winds going around it. So these winds are moving towards the radar, these are moving away. And so that is what you're seeing there. And if we go back to the regular radar view here, we're looking right in here. So just south of Joshua, you can see kind of this notch here. And this is not any kind of very picturesque hook echo here. Don't know if there's a wall cloud. I don't have any kind of visual confirmation of anything here, and it is dark out there, so it will be tough. But we are looking at a tornado warning. This is what you're seeing. So in the Joshua area, Cleburne, Keene, Alvarado, Venus, Lillian, Briar Oaks, all of this area, you need to be taking shelter right now. And you might think, well, it's south of Joshua. Why does it almost go to Burleson? Because these storms, they can turn to the right, can turn to the left. Either way, it looks to me like this may well end up being a very brief spin up, but regardless of that, at the moment right now, we have a tornado warning that has been issued for parts of Johnson County. That's the red box that you see lit up here. So people I see people in the comments going, what in the world's going on? But this is what we're seeing. So tornado warning has been issued. And again, that's that red box that you're seeing. So let's get this up here so it's a little easier to see. And so this is it right here. You see kind of this, you can kind of tell. I mean, you've got your inflow, and then this is pushing some of that precipitation back around here. So that's your rotation just south of Joshua, just outside of Keene. So if you're in this box, you need to be taking shelter right now, and then be on alert in the Midlothian area as well. This will be moving your way. No guarantee that it will go that far, but this is what we're seeing. This part of the storm, this is where we have the tornado warning. This is where that rotation is. That will continue to move eastward. As I mentioned, this is moving fairly quickly here. So as it moves on east towards the Mansfield, Midlothian area, again, it could turn to the north, it could turn to the south. That's why there's a larger box here, because you have to pretty much be paying attention in those areas. So if you're in Mansfield, you're in Midlothian, you're not in the warning right now. Parts of Mansfield may well be, but if you're outside of the warning, but you're in those areas, you want to be watching this, you want to be paying attention. And what I'll say too is go ahead and share this stream. Let's get the word out there of what's going on tonight, because this is definitely a very quick development. This is another day where we talked about a relatively low tornado threat, but this is another event where this is why we do not count them out. I have people tell me all the time, there's not going to be a tornado tonight, just count it out. Why do you keep talking about a possible tornado when the TV stations in Dallas keep telling us they're not going to happen? This is why they are not counted out ever by me. I've seen too many of these things happen. So this is where the rotation is, moving towards Briar Oaks. So in Briar Oaks, Lillian, Alvarado, Venus, you want to be in taking shelter at this moment. We'll take another look at the velocity view here. This helps us to see the winds, and this is where, so right near Keene here, this is kind of where we saw that rotation. Now I will say, this looks to me like a quick spin up. I imagine that's why this warning is not very big, but a quick spin up here, but it is well-defined rotation. We started to call attention to that, and we were seeing it, but it seemed just kind of sudden. So I didn't put a whole lot of stock into it, but it very quickly spun up there, and so may not last long, but we will have to continue to watch it as it moves to the east-northeast. So Again, this is where your tornado warning is. And I'm sure you're getting cell phone notifications. I'm sure you're hearing sirens out there, these different kinds of things. Definitely heed that warning, because where we have the red box, you could have rotation moving your way as we go forward through tonight and as this system continues to move east. I don't think that this environment tonight is conducive of these long track tornadoes, but nevertheless, I will say that Mansfield and Midlothian, those areas need to be watching this as it continues to move eastward. Now, if you're watching in Maypearl, wondering if it's going to head your way, looks like it's probably going to go north of there. I'm not thinking Waxahachie will be in the path of this either. If you're outside of the warning, I'm mostly watching Mansfield and Midlothian. I think Mansfield and Midlothian, I don't know if you have to take shelter right now, but definitely be watching this to see how it goes. But if you're in Lillian, Briar Oaks, Alvarado, Venus, Keene, all these areas, you need to be taking shelter right now, because you are in that tornado warning box and you are in the immediate area for possible tornado. We don't have a confirmation of a tornado on the ground right now. This is probably going to indicate to us, so capable of producing a tornado, radar indicated rotation. So that's what we saw here a few moments ago, and I noted that when we were looking at that, we were looking at the velocity view. So we're getting closer to the radar here, and as I mentioned, sometimes, I mean, you can see that all around the radar, this clear area, that's where the radar is located. The closer you get to the radar, the harder it is to see it, because you start to kind of get a distorted view. So let's go back to the velocity, maybe get a better view here, and it definitely looks less organized. But if anything, you see these winds down to the south. This might be some of the winds kind of starting to come back around here. So there may be gustier winds just north of Rio Vista moving towards the Grandview area here. That's going to be straight line winds. Shown not in the path. So this is not moving towards Italy, just to let you know. But moving towards the Alvarado Venus area, that is what we're watching. If we put this into motion here, you can see, if it'll cooperate with me here, you can see this little spin up. That's what we were watching. All of those, that very, very bright color. And it was just a couple of frames, really, when that started to kind of kick up and rotate. And at this juncture, I'll tell you that it doesn't look as well defined as it did just a few minutes ago. Maria, this is not including Navarro County. This is northeastern Johnson County included in this warning right now. It's where you see the red there. So that's the only area right now that is under the gun for this storm. So if I take the radar off here, actually, take the radar off and you can just see the red. So this is the box. This is your tornado warning. So taking the radar off, it's easy to see where that warning is. It's this red blinking box. So in Keene, Joshua, Briar Oaks, Lillian, Venus, Alvarado, northern parts of Cleburne there, this is where you have that tornado warning ongoing at this moment. And I mention, bit my tongue there, Mansfield, Midlothian. Those are the areas where you want to be watching this storm, to pay attention to see what comes as this proceeds eastward. I'm doubtful that it will last that long. And again, to repeat, we do not have confirmation of a tornado on the ground, but we could be looking at, again, obviously radar indicated rotation, and it's nighttime, so it's harder to see, hard to know exactly what it is that you're looking at. But as we continue to monitor this, we will be watching to see if a downstream warning is issued. I'm doubtful, because it does not look like that rotation stayed much longer than a few frames there. It happened quick, and it looks like it's going to go quick. And so we are watching this, though, and that's why I'm telling you, Mansfield, Midlothian, be watching this. But if you're in Lillian, Venus, Alvarado, you have to be watching and taking shelter immediately at this point. I will say that the rotation does not look as well organized as it seemed a moment ago, but just west of Alvarado, looks like that's probably where we have some lingering, weakened, kind of broad, but still there rotation right now. Not as well defined as it was just a moment ago, just in that couple of frames, but it was enough to issue that warning because you got to pay attention to this. So that's what we're seeing right now. Again, these are the winds that are moving towards the radar and away from the radar. So yeah, not well organized there at this point. But as I mentioned with these other storms, you can have situations where it kind of dies away and then it increases again. So we may not be done at this very moment. That blinking box, that is your tornado warning, and that only goes, I believe, until 8:15. So only about 15 more minutes here, and could easily be canceled early. But again, you're getting closer to the radar. We're kind of in this zone where we get a little distortion. So it's hard to see really anything going on in the reflectivity here. That's why we've been watching the velocity view. Again, if you're not familiar, the velocity shows us wind speed and direction. So sirens going on in Venus. That's a good thing because you are under that tornado warning and that storm is moving your way. So we'll continue to monitor this as it moves eastward. I don't have any confirmation right now of a tornado on the ground. I don't have any confirmation of wall clouds or anything of that sort. And Nathan, you're right. It is a little bit reminiscent of October 4th, another situation where we are watching a possible tornado situation on a day when tornadoes were really not that likely. So moving towards Alvarado right now, that's where we're watching the most likely area of some possible rotation. But really at this point, it looks like we've got some winds down south of Alvarado, just straight line winds, and then possibly a little bit of just lingering circulation here. Really doesn't look as intense. But yes, we do have multiple reports of the sirens sounding in the Venus area. I'm sure there's probably some in the Alvarado area as well. Okay, so we've got comments there that people are taking shelter. I greatly appreciate that. So this continues until 8:15, this tornado warning. Let's get back to the regular radar so you kind of have an image that you're more familiar with at this point. And could be looking at some hail west of Alvarado too. So where we've been watching that the updrafts and things today, we mentioned that before. So moving into Alvarado, from Alvarado down towards Grandview, stronger winds picking up now. And we did have that pickup of rotation, and on the kind of the southern end of that, you're going to have an increase in wind. So this will kind of take on more of that bow shape. You can see that here, and that will continue on to the east. So Mansfield, Midlothian. I mentioned multiple times that you need to be watching to see what happens with this watch. And we will watch and see what happens with this tornadic cell here, at least potentially tornadic cell, where we have this warning as it gets closer to parts of Ellis County. And it's not looking like it's going to move through the Maypearl area. Maypearl, if anything, may get some stronger winds moving that direction, but not looking like anything that's going to move, anything rotating is going to move through that area. So just to recap here, for anyone that may just be joining in, hearing those sirens over in the Venus area, again, like I said, let's share the stream, tag friends and family, that kind of thing too. So make sure folks are aware of what's going on here. The red box you see there, the blinking box, that is a tornado warning that was issued for parts of Johnson County, again, including, at this point, Lillian, Venus, Alvarado, also including Briar Oaks, Keene, and Joshua, although the circulation looks to have moved east of those areas. So right in Alvarado right now, you're getting some heavy rain here, and we'll take a look at the velocity view for an update here as well. Let me see if I can get that prompt here. It looks like it's trying to default back over. Okay, so yeah, let's take a look at this. And yeah, we could still be looking at some broad rotation here So, moving towards the radar there. So moving towards the radar, moving away from the radar. So still possibly some broad rotation, not what we saw a few moments ago. But we'll continue to watch this as it moves eastward towards the Venus area. Moving towards Venus and towards Midlothian. Doesn't look like it's going to. And Nathan Segler, you're saying power flashes in Alvarado. I want to clarify something. Are you talking about your power is flickering on and off, or do you mean power flashes as in the green explosion of power of transformers? Two very different things. When you say power flashes to someone like me, to someone in the business, that means that you're seeing transformers exploding, which is a distinct indication sometimes of rotation. But just let's just make sure that we're using proper terminology here. So here's the warning. That warning has been cut back now. So really from Lillian, Alvarado, and Venus, this is the area where we have the concern with the tornadoes going on. And Shane Boston, I like to think I know something. So the tornado warning continues for about another 10 minutes here. So Alvarado, we still see some possibly broad rotation here, but that will be moving towards the Venus area. Looks like that will probably stay south of Lillian here, but moving through Alvarado now towards Venus, eventually possibly towards the Midlothian area. And so we will continue to watch this as it moves eastward. We'll see if the National Weather Service issues another downstream warning. They have not done so yet, so I'm not confident that they will, especially considering that rotation, it was very quick to spin up, didn't seem to hold on to its organization at least for a while, but we can count sometimes on these storms vamping back up after they weaken. We've talked about that many times and we've seen it many times. So, okay, Michael, I appreciate your clarification there. Yeah, let's keep watching this warning here. Now, I do want to go. I know that there's a lot of people that are seeing this on social media and wondering what in the world is going on in their area. This is a broader view. We do have, moving into northern Hill County now, this storm, which has been severe warned. And again, the severe warning, there's not much of it left from Meridian to Morgan, almost to Whitney. So a hail threat moving into the Whitney area right now. Very heavy rain, but not severe warned in parts of northern Hill County. And then here's the severe thunderstorm warning for this storm and the tornado warning. So this is what's left of that tornado warning that was issued, continuing for about another 10 minutes here. And you can see pretty clearly here, from what I can tell, you've got some inflow here, and it definitely looks that way as far as that reflectivity inflow, and then you've got your outflow kind of moving this way. So really, one of the things I'll tell you is this could be rear flank downdraft here, so increasing winds moving towards Venus, and we'll get back on the velocity view here and see what we can see. So definitely strong winds blowing here, and I don't really see anything immediately concerning me about rotation at this moment. It looks like the rotation that we saw is not near as well organized as it was just a few minutes ago when we had that warning issued. But it is still in effect, and I'm sure part of the reason for that is that we can expect this rotation sometimes to increase in coverage. I can see in the comments that Waxahachie is tuning in, and so I want to mention that Waxahachie, you are not under a tornado warning at this time. Looks like the rotation will probably move north of Waxahachie here. So Waxahachie, you're probably more under the gun for very heavy rain, possibly some small hail. So that's what we're looking at there. This is where we have the tornado warning. West of Venus, Alvarado, Lillian area. That's where we have possibly this rotation. If I had to guess, it really looks like that rotation is probably getting choked off. It didn't have very long to go. It was not a very good setup conducive to lasting very long, getting wrapped up in some rain there. So I don't think that this lasts very long, but you should still be in your safe area if you're in Venus, in Lillian, if you're in Britain, Mansfield, Midlothian area, eventually possibly Cedar Hill. You'll want to watch and see how the National Weather Service handles this. Do they issue a downstream warning, or will they just simply allow that to expire and consider that circulation as not really significant going forward. I can tell you just based on the reflectivity here, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot. And we have some new development here in Ellis County. It looks like there's just some lift creating some showers in the Maypearl area back towards Waxahachie. So you'll get some rain there, but nothing that immediately has us too terribly concerned. Now, in the Alvarado Venus area, it does look like we saw, or we see right now, some increasing winds. So we will see what happens with that. We've seen the bowing out shape, that signature there, and so we'll watch to see what that does. Sometimes that can help to revive that rotation, and could be that we're getting further away from the radar at this point and getting a better view, but we will continue to keep an eye on that. And thank you, Dawn, for your Venmo donation there. Greatly, greatly appreciated. Always there from you all. So we'll continue to pay attention to this, and I will tell you that the only part of Ellis County that has anything possibly going on right now is possibly the Midlothian area. Any other part of Ellis County right now, really just looking at some heavy rain moving in. But if you're in the Midlothian area, we are watching to see how the National Weather Service handles this. If you are in the Venus area, strong winds headed there, strong winds in Alvarado right now. Just by looking at this initially, this does look like in the Alvarado area, straight line winds, if I had to guess. I'm not seeing immediate indications of rotation here. So they haven't canceled that warning. My guess is they're going to allow that to expire in the next 5 minutes here. So, and I'm hearing in Waxahachie, you might hear some thunder too. Not really that surprising. We've had some new development here from Maypearl towards the Waxahachie area. Nothing severe there. So this is what we're watching. This is our main area of concern at this point. This is where we had the tornado warning issued. That only goes for about another 5 minutes. Thank you, Robin, for your Venmo donation there. Greatly, greatly appreciated. And Courtney, you're saying your weather app says no storms. Well, those same weather apps probably said it was going to be ice on the roads and it was 40 degrees. So the weather apps are, they don't know what they're doing. Let me get back in some of these comments here. Big thunder in the Midlothian area. And thank you, Kelly, for your donation to the Venmo there. Okay, we have a new warning here, only a severe thunderstorm warning. So this is a improvement here from where we've been for the last several minutes. The tornado warning does continue for about another 4 minutes here. Looks like that will be allowed to expire. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning that includes just the northern tip of northern Hill County there, most of Ellis County here. They're pretty much taking this thing all the way to the Trinity River, and then southern Dallas County. So from Cedar Hill and Duncanville over to DeSoto, Lancaster, over towards Wilmer and Ferris there. So they will allow this tornado warning to expire. It does not look like they're going to issue a downstream warning at this time, but a severe thunderstorm warning will be issued, or has been issued. And let's get an expiration time on that until 9:15. So the severe thunderstorm watch goes through 9, and then you have the warning going through 9:15. So they may have to adjust that a little bit, go a little bit later with that watch. And thank you so much, Suzanne. My emails are flashing here. Thank you, Suzanne, for your very generous Venmo donation there. And I'm trying to get caught up in some comments here. A lot of conversation going on. Keep that engagement going. Keep sharing this. This is quite a unique situation here, and we do need to zoom back. I do want to talk to you in Whitney just briefly. Looks like you have a decent hail threat moving into the Whitney area right now, so I expect we'll see a new severe thunderstorm warning issued shortly for the Whitney area going into Hillsboro, possibly towards west there, and Abbott. So that is the hail threat that we see in Hill County right now. So that needs to be paid attention to as well. But as we zoom in here, we want to take one quick look. This is where we have that tornado warning. Now, we are seeing indications of increasing winds here, but these are most likely straight line winds. You can see this bow signature here. So what I will say is we're shifting over into a damaging wind threat at this time. So if you're in Venus, in Midlothian, you want to be watching this very closely. Strong, damaging winds. And I say damaging because they can do damage in that area. So this is what we're watching. We were concerned about a tornado a few moments ago, possibly. And thank you so much, Christopher, for your Venmo donation there. But we were concerned about a tornado possibly with some very quick but seemingly very brief rotation. But now we're looking at strong winds moving towards Midlothian right now, moving into Venus. So where you're seeing the yellow here, very strong winds blowing in that area. And thank you so much, Joy, for your Venmo donation. Greatly, greatly appreciated there. So this will continue to move eastward. Very heavy rain. And why is Milford left? Well, we'll be talking about Milford here in just a few moments here. A lot of comments. I'm trying to make sure that we, yeah, you're right. Ellis County has entered the chat. That's exactly right. And make sure that you're sharing this stream here too. This is a bit of a unique night. This is a little more peculiar than we were expecting it to be. Thank you, Sarah, for your Venmo donation there. Greatly appreciated. So here in Venus, this is the side of the storm. And you can see, again, this bow shape. These are the strong winds that are going to be moving into Midlothian here in the next several minutes. So I'm less concerned about tornadic circulation at this point. I'm more concerned about strong winds. And Jackson, there's no April Fools here. I mean, it's hilarious that it has to happen today, but I'm not an April Fools fan, so we're not playing around right now. We are very serious here. Some showers ahead of this, so if you're getting rain in Waxahachie, the main event is not there yet. That main line is still moving back. There goes that tornado warning, so that has been allowed to expire. And this severe thunderstorm warning will probably be cut back. If you're behind this line, you should be good to go. I don't think there's really anything else behind all of this activity. Let me just get another view of everything here and make sure. Yeah, I don't see anything to the west of this. So looks like we should be good to go. But at this point, I'm definitely more concerned about the wind threat. You can see that very, very sharp straight line wind threat, that bow shape there. And yeah, if you're behind this line, if you're in most of really Johnson County from 35 west on to the west, you're in the clear. You're done with these storms. Give them some time to clear out. But overall, you're definitely looking at a concerning situation. That's a good question, Elizabeth, on how fast it's moving. Let's get an update on that. We've been seeing these move at a pretty good clip, and it says this is moving east at 40 miles per hour. That's a slower rate than what we have seen, and that may simply be due to the fact that we're now seeing these storms definitely slow down a little bit and become more organized. So that could be a part of that. Okay, so getting reports that you're starting to feel it in the Mount Peak area. So those strong winds are now moving into the Midlothian Mount Peak area right now. So there may be some hail in this storm as well. But at this point, I'm more concerned about the winds that we have been watching. Not really seeing much of a hail threat here. We'll take a look at this. And it looks like the hail threat in this storm has probably deteriorated, at least just judging by what the radar has shown us. We've been fooled by that before. And there's that severe thunderstorm warning being peeled back there. But we're mostly concerned about the winds. And like I said, you can see this very clear bow shape here. And that's really the biggest concern that I have. And you can see that here. So the Venus area, very, very strong winds there. That's going to continue to move on towards Midlothian. So as that moves through, and a lot of questions about hail here. I would say that if you're getting hail, it's going to be fairly small in this storm. I don't see any severe hail indications here, but again, the biggest concern for the moment is going to be the size of, or really the speed and intensity of those winds. I have to catch up on this. Thank you, Brittany, Tori, DV, Megan, and Aaron for your donations through the Venmo and the Cash App. Definitely appreciated there. So this is where we have the stronger winds in the Venus area, and you can see that is moving into the Midlothian area here. So if you're in the Midlothian area, be watching this very closely. Be prepared for a sudden influx of strong winds. So yeah, be watching this as this continues to move towards the east-northeast. And yeah, hearing a lot of reports that it's hitting Venus pretty hard. And I will say that Waxahachie, you need to be concerned about these strong winds as well. It looks like the strongest winds will probably move towards the Mount Peak Southern Midlothian area. But Waxahachie, you do have some stronger winds headed your way as well as it moves toward the I-35 corridor. And thank you, April, for the Venmo donation. That is greatly appreciated. So this is where we're watching, where you see this bow shape, very strong winds. And yeah, Rachel, so let me just clarify that the tornado warning has expired. That expired at 8:15, was allowed to expire, and that is no longer in effect. Not seeing the rotation that we saw. We saw a very quick, brief spin up there. That is no longer the case here, so no tornado threat imminently here, but we will be watching that as that continues to move eastward because, like I mentioned, we have a higher hail threat at this point, or excuse me, a higher wind threat. Let me clarify that. We were looking at a higher hail threat when we watched this. The Storm Prediction Center elevated us to an enhanced risk, and you know, it was controversial, but it's really looking like we haven't seen that kind of major hail situation we were concerned about. We've seen a brief tornado warning, and we've had the very strong winds now that are moving towards the 35 corridor. So for the Waxahachie area, I will tell you it's probably going to be moving into Waxahachie in the next, I would say, 15 to 20 minutes here. You'll start to feel that in western parts of Waxahachie. And Mary, thank you so much for the Cash App donation. Scott, thank you so much for the donation through the Venmo there. So here is the Hill County storm. We do need to talk about that because we could be looking at a hail threat there. However, I will say now that the warning was allowed to expire, and I do not see a new warning yet for the Hill County area. So let me back that off a little bit. Yeah, so lower hail threat there in the Whitney area. Looks like mostly just a very heavy rain threat at this point. And if we look at the winds here, not really too concerned about the winds there in Hill County as well. So that storm looks to have weakened, that is moving into Hill County here. So mostly heavy rain, possibly some small hail mixed in there, some gusty winds, and then going forward from there, in the Midlothian, Waxahachie area, that is where the strongest storms are at this moment. That's where we will be looking at those strong, possibly damaging winds. And let Mike, thank you so much for the PayPal donation there. So greatly appreciated there. So this is what we're watching. That yellow, that's going to be the core of the strongest winds. So as this continues on, we do not see a tornado threat for those areas, but this is where we're looking at those stronger winds. And thank you, Rachel, for the Venmo donation. That is greatly appreciated. And thank you, John, for the Cash App donation. Greatly appreciate that. Here's kind of a larger view of the Ellis County storm here. So moving towards 35, so going to be moving towards Ovilla, Oak Leaf, Red Oak, down to Waxahachie, Sardis, that area, then down to Forreston. So that's where it's moving at this point. So towards Waxahachie High School, going to be getting very intense there very shortly if it's not already. And then it will continue to move on to the east. What I'm unsure about is if these strong winds will persist long enough to make it to the I-45 corridor. Talking about Ferris, Palmer, Ennis, Bardwell, that area. So we will continue to watch to see what kind of weather to expect as this moves east of the I-35 corridor. But for now, I think we can pretty well say that we can focus on the 35 corridor here in Midlothian, Waxahachie, Red Oak area. That's where we're primarily concerned. And I'm sure you can hear Jensen in the background there, very unhappy that that Daddy's working right now. Thank you so much, Wendy and Vicky, for your donations through the Venmo app there. And thank you, Melanie, for the Cash App donation. Greatly appreciated there as well. So here's the situation, y'all. Here's what we've got going on tonight. You can see this thing trucking on, and really the biggest punch of the strongest wind is going to go for probably north of Waxahachie here, really moving more towards the Red Oak, Ovilla, Oakleaf, Pecan Hill area. That's where we're going to be mostly concerned here. That's where you can see really the apex of this. So I will say that's going to continue to move on to the northeast here. And okay, thank you. Wow, okay. Thank you, Melanie, Lisa, and Shannon for your donations there. Greatly, greatly appreciated. By the way, all of these donations will greatly help with the vet bills that I've accrued over the last few days. Thank you, Christine, as well, for the donation there. Yeah, Waxahachie is going to get some pretty strong storms. Again, if you're north of Waxahachie, between Waxahachie and Red Oak, that's where this is going to be moving through. I need to talk about driving on the highway because we have these very strong winds headed towards 35. Do not be ashamed to pull over. Just a few things. Do not be ashamed to pull over. Do not worry about, don't watch this while you're driving. Listen to my voice, sure. Do not park under an overpass. Our first responders have to get to people who are needing help. You're in the way, folks. Get out the way. So don't park under an overpass. Don't do it. Just please don't do it, no matter what. And by the way, to clarify for you, if it's a high wind situation, an overpass, that's a wind tunnel, folks. That makes it worse. Don't do it. There's multiple reasons it's a dumb idea. So if you're driving out there, do not hesitate. Do not be bashful. Pull over. Okay? Pull over. Wait for this thing to go through. It's moving fairly quickly. And so odds are, if you pull over, give it some time, it will pass through before you have to be too concerned about it. I can barely keep up here. Thank you. Somebody named Michael Scott, thank you so much for your donation. Best manager in the world, right? Thank you, Christine, Michael, Alicia, Taylor, Lindsay, Levi, Ariel, and Darren for your donations. I don't know how I'm going to keep up with this, but I try to. You deserve to hear your name on air. I mean, come on. But all of this, as it continues to move towards the northeast, I'm mostly concerned about. Let me just send a quick message here. Let me try to get some intel here. Get that out to somebody, and then we'll try to get caught up here. So a lot of questions about the I-45 corridor, and I would say that what we're looking at here, the strongest winds are now moving across 35 here in the Red Oak area. So Oakleaf, Ovilla, Red Oak, Pecan Hill, the northern parts of Waxahachie, and then continuing on eastward towards Ferris, towards Wilmer, possibly the Palmer area. So that's where we're watching, and we will continue to follow this. Thank you, Mike, for the Venmo donation. Greatly appreciated there. But this is going to continue to move on to the northeast, and this is why the primary reason we have this severe thunderstorm warning issue. A severe thunderstorm warning, let me just remind you of the criteria: 60 mile per hour winds or an inch or more in diameter in terms of your hail sizes. So continuing to move northeast here. This is what we're watching, and this storm is the same one somebody having trouble with the somebody's in YouTube is having trouble with the feed being behind. You got to click that live button. He's not going to hear that for a while, but you got to click that live button and make sure it's live. Sometimes YouTube, it delays for some reason. So if somebody in the comments wants to help him with that, that would be greatly appreciated. So no tornado threat for Italy right now. I see that question coming up over and over again. So not too big a concern there. We are worried mostly about the strong wind threat. So thank you, Brooke, Joy, and Hatsy. I hope I said that right. Hatsy, for your donations. So this storm is going to continue to barrel eastward, and I want to make sure that we're covering the whole area. Let's just do a broad view if it'll cooperate here. This is what we're looking across our region here. So from Whitney to Hillsborough, up to Waxahachie, up to southwestern Dallas County right now. This is where we see the strongest storm. Up north of Irving, from about Love Field, Irving there, up into DFW Airport, and on up into Frisco is another section. But this is what we're watching here. The biggest threat right now is the damaging winds. And thank you, Gustavo and Kelsey, for your donations on Cash App and Venmo. So this is the strongest storm we have right now. Once again, Ellis County taking center stage here. This severe thunderstorm warning is mostly at this point, from what I can tell, for the strong winds. So if you're in the Red Oak, and let's zoom in on this once again. If you're in the Red Oak, Ovilla, Oakleaf, Pecan Hill area, northern Waxahachie, this is where the strongest winds are. Let's take a quick look at the velocity view and see how those are doing here. Also, thank you, Justin, Jordan, and Joshua for your donations, and Amy as well. Thank you so much for all of that support. Finally hearing thunder here at the studio. I was wondering where that was. So it does look like the winds, from what I can tell, are decaying a little bit as well. The other thing too is that we are, it's getting further away from the radar. So you're looking higher, so it may not necessarily be showing those surface winds as well. But from what we can tell, thank you to Brandon, Gutter Up, and Christy for your donations there. So Pecan Hill, Oakleaf, that's going to be the next area to get these winds. Waxahachie just moving through there right now. I will make a quick mention. Scarborough Renaissance Festival, I'm happy to be working with them this season, and you'll hear more about that soon. Getting quite a bit of heavy rain out there as they prepare for the season to begin. This, I believe this coming Saturday. So weather looks good, by the way. Looks good for Scarborough out there. But we do have these winds in central Ellis County, central and northern Ellis County here. Italy down to Milford there. Not really looking at anything at the moment. Mostly just going to be kind of heavy rain, maybe some gusty winds there. The question came across, am I able to put the major roads on? The maps here are a mix and change, because the advantage of one map has a disadvantage otherwise. So this map that I have up here doesn't have the roads, but it has the largest, it's the largest city names. So the map with the roads has tiny city names, and I've had people tell me before they want larger city names so they can read them. So it's a bit of a trade-off. We haven't found the perfect setting yet, but we're still watching this. So rain just started in Ennis. Sounds like that's probably going to be a situation where we've got some indication, some convection rather, going on ahead of all this. And yeah, that's what it is. So you have lighter rain in the Ennis area, from Ennis on to Palmer. But here in, again, Oakleaf to Waxahachie, moving towards Ferris and Palmer, where those gustier winds are. So I need to say thank you to, need to say thank you to Paige, Jeremy, Nicole, Laura, Mona, and Heaven for all of your very generous donations. Okay, well, I'm reminded, and I can't forget you folks that have donated stars, and that has been a thing for so long. I don't get like a ticker of those, so greatly appreciate the stars here too that you guys send in. That's always appreciated, and I wish I don't really get to see who necessarily sends those. It's yeah, it doesn't work the same way. And hearing the rain here in Waxahachie, here at the studio. So I'm northeast Waxahachie off of 813 out here, and I'm hearing the rain. Sounds fairly decent out there. You can see a lot of lightning strikes here too. And we'll take a quick look and see if we have any kind of hail threat right now. Really, the biggest hail threat is going to be from Midlothian, between Midlothian and Oak Leaf. So that's the Ovilla area really is where we're seeing the highest hail threat. Looks like that could be intensifying here. And love the word from Broken Road Farm there. Let's see, Waxahachie power flash is being reported on the Ryan Hall Y'all channel. I'm not sure what Ryan Hall over in Kentucky can tell me really about Waxahachie, but I think we're set to handle that here. Dumping in Indian Hills. Where are the star icons? I'm not honestly too sure. Not really sure. Lindsay, you're doing the monthly donation on Facebook. I greatly appreciate that. Love that. Of course, we also have Patreon and those kind of things too. And I will tell you that the Patreon is pretty cool because you can get some updates and the daily forecast, the semi-daily, mostly daily forecast emailed directly to you because what am I trying to say here? The Patreon, you can set it to where you get updates through your email. So the 7-day forecast that I post most mornings, and sometimes even in the evening if I'm able to, straight to your email. So kind of a cool feature there, and I'll see if we can get that Patreon link here. But a number of different donations coming in here. Let me just quickly say thank you to Cheryl and Hannah and Megan here. Thank you so much for your support there. And we've got a fair number of folks watching the stream. So I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, sharing, all that good stuff. And if you're watching on Facebook, go check out the YouTube. It looks a lot better. It's a lot prettier. The radar just looks a lot prettier. All right, so, okay, yeah, I think we're caught up there. So this is the strongest part of the storm right now, moving into Red Oak, Pecan Hill, Waxahachie, possibly down as far as Forest in there. And Bethany, good question, a power flash. And again, as I mentioned before, a power flash is a very specific term. A power flash does not mean your lights are flickering. A power flash is when a transformer, that's what I'm trying to say, when a transformer explodes, you get kind of that almost marine green flash. That's a power flash. Power flashes are usually very distinct to tornadic activity. That's why when we hear power flashes going on, we take that a little more seriously. So if your power is flickering, don't say it's a power flash. That's a very different kind of situation. Okay, so the severe thunderstorm watch has been extended until 1 a.m., including Ellis, Hill, and Navarro County. So I don't see Johnson County in that list. Of course, it's moved east of Johnson. So for Ellis, Navarro, and Hill counties, that severe thunderstorm watch has been, I believe it's a new watch that has been issued that is now and goes until 1 a.m. So that's not saying that it will be here until 1 a.m. It's only 8:30 and it's already moving through, but it's a new watch to go from our area eastward. So just keep that in mind that the severe thunderstorm watch continues. No tornado watch at this point, but a severe thunderstorm watch for sure. So this storm that we had did prompt a tornado warning over in Johnson County. I'm sure that's what got Ryan Hall all excited about it. But we are watching this storm move eastward. No tornado threat right now for that. But we are looking at, in northern Ellis County, really more of a concern of winds. I will say I'm not seeing the kind of signature we saw earlier of that bow echo. We'll take a look at the velocity, and there's still some strong winds in this storm from Oakley to Pecan Hill, Waxahachie, moving right into the I-45 corridor here. And so we are not really that concerned about tornadoes right now. Could be some hail in the Red Oak area right now, but the strongest indication, the strongest feature here is going to be those winds. So we will continue to watch that and make sure you're aware of that. And this severe thunderstorm warning, let me just get a quick reminder here. That goes until, they always put it in a different spot. Is it up there? Until 9:15. Sometimes it's at the top, sometimes it's in the middle, so you kind of have to look for it sometimes. Thank you so much, Amy and Megan, for your donations. Greatly appreciated there. So the warning until 9:15, so about another 40 minutes here or so. And the winds are the primary threat here. Not really looking at much of a hail threat, not really hearing much about hail in those comments there. So the strongest part of this storm will be moving towards the the 45 corridor. I just, I saw something out the window just now that could have been a transformer popping. I didn't see I didn't see a flash, but I did see sparks flying. So that was particularly interesting. And I'm not hearing particularly damaging winds either. So that's interesting. So if there's a power outage between, closer to 813 there in Waxahachie, that might be why. I just the tail end of something out the window there. But the biggest concern right now is going to be right there on I-45 from Ferris to Palmer to Ennis, those winds coming through. And I'll give the same speech I gave a moment ago. If you're driving down I-45 and hearing this, you're about to get hit with some very strong winds. Do not park under an overpass and take your time. If you need to pull over, do so. I mentioned earlier that these storms were moving fairly quickly and we weren't really worried about flooding at this point, but I will mention just briefly that we could be looking at flooding becoming more of an issue. These storms appear to be slowing down a little bit, and there's quite a bit of heavy rain falling here, and we've had plenty of rain for a while here. So just kind of keep that in mind. That could be a growing concern here. So thank you, Beatrice, Lisa, Amy, and Teresa. That rhymed, and that was hilarious, for all of your donations. So greatly appreciate that. Maria, we have no tornado watches or warnings for this area, so no tornado alerts of any kind at this time. We had the warning for northern Johnson County, but that has since expired here. And if we zoom out a little bit here, this is really just here in Ellis County. This is the strongest part of the storm that we have seen. And still not sure what we were seeing there across the street. So that was, honestly, at this point, it might have been, I think it might have been brake lights reflecting in a way that made it look like sparks. So it might not be too big an issue. Hail near Shackleford in Waxahachie. So near my area. Hail by Rocket Water Department. So in my area, sounds like there's hail falling right now. I won't make Terry get up and go get some. So don't worry, babe. I'm not gonna ask you to do that. Thank you so much, Mark, for your donation here. Penny, the severe thunderstorm warning goes out. That expires at 9:15. So about another 34 minutes here. So that's what we're looking at. And I'm hearing, of course, there's a lot of variability. Thank you so much, Sylvia, for your donation. Hearing a lot of variability here. Some people saying this is the worst storm they've ever seen. Some people saying, hey, it's spring. And I mean, you're not wrong. It is spring, and we do have to put up with this sometimes. So let's zoom back in on this storm. I know there's a lot of you right along 45 that are just tuning in, wondering what in the blazes is going on here. You have a storm moving in. It is a severe thunderstorm, it is severe warned, I should say, that is moving across 45 here. So from Ferris to Palmer down towards Ennis, Really the strongest winds probably just north of Palmer. You can see that kind of bow shape there. We will take another look at the velocity view here. We've been kind of patrolling this. This storm did, of course, prompt a tornado warning over in Johnson County. Has not done that since. We have not seen a tornado threat from that storm since. It was a very quick, a very brief spin up. And we look across our area, not really much of a hail threat in Hill County right now. Really just most of a hail threat in the Ferris-Palmer area. So that's what we're watching here, continuing to move eastward. And where you see the yellow, that is your strongest wind. So as that gets into the Ferris-Palmer area, that could very well be where we're seeing those stronger winds, and where I would say to be prepared for potentially damaging winds there. I mean, we could be talking about wind speeds of, 50 to possibly 60 miles per hour. Your severe thunderstorm warning, that's in excess of 60 miles per hour. That's what prompts that. So you could have wind gusts in excess of 60 to possibly 70 miles per hour here. I don't have confirmation of anything, so I'm not confirming anything. Gustavo, yes, I brought the pets in. I have to, talking about the pets, I have to sequester Pepper. Of course, she's the puppy. She has parvo. She's been in and out of the vet. Finally, she's been cleared for home treatment here. So that's a big, big plus. Finally kind of moving on from having to go to the doctor every 24 hours. But we're getting to that point now, so she'll start that tonight. And then, so Bluey, the other dog, is having to stay in a crate in the living room. She's too hyper to be out. So neither of them are probably really enjoying this that terribly much. But I mean, it is what it is. So this is the part of the storm that we're watching the most closely, from moving towards Ennis to Garrett, Palmer, up in Ferris. So that's where we are watching these storms. So that's going to continue to move eastward. Brandon, you're asking about the little chutes around the Ferris-Palmer area, where we're not really seeing anything indicating rotation at this time. You could make an argument that possibly there could be some rotation trying to do something near Ferris, but I'm not seeing enough. It takes two to tango. It takes inbound, outbound winds. So I'm not seeing enough of one to really justify being concerned about the other. So not really too concerned in the Ferris area about any kind of rotation, or really anywhere. The stronger winds, these straight line winds, and the difference is, of course, rotating winds, you're going in a circle. Those straight line winds, imagine you shove someone, that takes some force. I mean, that takes some energy. So if you push all of that straight line wind in there, that can still make some things happen. Thank you, Kayla, for your donation there. So as this continues to move on to the northeast, this is where you're going to see those stronger winds. It looks like Garrett and Ennis will miss the strongest of the winds there, but still plenty of heavy rain, lightning, thunder for you as well. The strongest winds are now moving into the Ferris and Palmer areas. So again, Palmer, Ferris, Wilmer, that area, that's where we are watching the greatest area of concern here. Okay, I'm just going to check I want to check on a couple of things. Sources of information, trying to make sure that I'm staying current on everything. So we had that tornado, or severe thunderstorm watch. I need to keep correcting myself. So we had the severe thunderstorm watch originally went to 9 a.m. However, that has now been extended. Really, a new watch has been issued, I believe. It looked like by the list of counties that goes until 1 a.m. So Ellis, Navarro, and Hill counties under a severe thunderstorm watch until 1 a.m. This severe thunderstorm warning, which is that box here, that goes until 9:15. So only about half an hour from now. That's kind of what we are looking at here. Going to check on just a couple of things. Baseball schedules. Always fun to watch that. Watch that come through. So as this moves into the Ferris area, you are going to get some strong winds. So just be prepared for that. Still hearing thunder here in Waxahachie area. And I do want to remind you, as I say many times, that you can have lightning strike 30 miles outside of a storm. So where you might think, well, the storm's gone, I don't have to worry about it. You might have to. You might have to actually be concerned about that. So looking back towards the west, I don't really expect any kind of new development. If we take a broader look here, there's really not anything right now at this moment building back to west. This should be more stable, more dry air here. So we have these storms moving through. That really should be it. And we'll flip over and check out the hail threat, because I think that we might be seeing, yeah, so down towards the Milford area now. So west of Milford, southwest of Italy, we are looking at possibly a hail threat materializing there. You can see where we have the pink, and the gray specifically is where you start to really see the severe hail, but that's what we're watching. So that area of hail, that could be an increasing hail threat for Milford, for Italy there. And then up towards Ferris, you see the red there, that could be some small hail. So accompanying those stronger winds could be some strong hail there as well, or large hail. The thing is, in Ferris, that's going to be wind-driven hail. So not only is it hail, but it's wind-driven. That's really going to build up the velocity there. And so smaller hail when it's wind-driven can really be a bigger concern. I'm being asked to zoom this out on terms of that hail threat. So as far as our area, that's really going to be the two areas. Down towards the Waco area, looks like southern McLennan County there, down towards Hewitt. There's another severe storm there. And then west of Waco there, possibly a bit of a hail threat. But that's really what we're seeing in terms of our core area. That's the two areas we're most concerned about. Is right there where you see that big yellow box, that severe thunderstorm warning. So I'm being asked about the Tellico, Creechville area. You're asking if you should be worried. I don't think you have to be worried necessarily, but definitely be paying attention to this storm and make sure you're inside in a sturdy structure as those storms move through. Does not look like the strongest winds will be moving that way anytime soon here. Let's check velocity here, just kind of get a picture of what we're seeing. Still looking at some stronger winds. Let's actually move this over a little bit. Still seeing some strong winds in that area. So in the Ferris area, going to continue on to the east. And tell me when the skies will clear enough for my flight to leave Dallas Love Field. If you're stuck at Love Field, it might be an hour or so before they're comfortable taking off over there. And Nathan, you're talking about Wichita Falls redevelopment. I don't think anything in Wichita Falls is going to really be a concern here. Not too sure yet what it's going to look like in the Corsicana area. What's moving through Milford could move that way, but the way that these storms have been kind of decaying and then intensifying and then decaying and then intensifying, it's hard to tell exactly what the experience is going to be like in the Corsicana area for the next several minutes. So, it's going to be hard to tell there. I will say we've got some folks in Kaufman tuning in. These stronger winds, if they hold true, if they hold on and stay organized, could very well be moving towards the Kaufman area. So definitely keep that in mind. That's something to pay some attention to, I would say, going forward. So definitely keep that in mind as you go forward there. And need to check a few notifications, and with all the watches and warnings and things, my phone was ready to blow up. So I just needed to make sure we were good to go there. This yellow is where we have those stronger winds. So moving into the Ferris area, really moving towards northwestern portions of Ellis County here. So that's going to be moving towards the Bristol area here. So, and I understand Bristol probably a little further south, but this part of Ellis County, that far north, the eastern portion of Ellis County, that's where you're going to see those stronger winds moving through. And we talked about this. Let's look again at this possible hail threat. And that's an old image. It takes a little longer for this to update here. Yeah, there you go. So right in the Ferris area right now, growing hail threat. So that will continue to move on eastward into Kaufman County here. We will zoom that out and we'll go down to the Milford area. So probably another hail threat that continues to intensify there in the Milford area. So I won't be surprised if you're looking at nickel to possibly quarter-sized hail there at least. Again, severe thunderstorm criteria is an inch or more in diameter. That's kind of how that works out. Reported dime-sized hail near 5 points. So I appreciate that report there. Rain and wind in Italy. So yeah, it looks like the hail threat for the most part is going to stay south of the Italy area. Thank you so much to Jennifer and Lisa for your donations. Greatly appreciated. And let me send out a call for... Try to get some water here because my throat is just dry here, killing me. So yeah, Italy is starting to get this now. Let's get back to the reflectivity so we can kind of just get a broader idea of what we're looking at. Really, two storms are most concerning right now. We have this storm, which, again, this is the one that prompted the tornado warning farther west. Not tornadic at this time. Moving through Ferris, going to be moving into Kaufman County pretty soon. Mostly a wind threat there. More of a hail threat in the Italy-Milford area. You can see here another hail core probably trying to get organized there. So moving into the Italy area now, very well could be looking at a hail threat there. So that's where things stand right now. And I know that Navarro County is watching very closely. And here's kind of how this falls. We don't really have a lot going on in terms of Navarro County. And so we have, okay, take a drink here. All right, so the Italy-Milford area looking like more of a hail threat with that storm. And Mr. Nash, 1959, I've got scotch in there, and I can guarantee you, if I had it with me, hey, I'd pop that open and drink that. But I don't have it with me, and that can wait until after tonight. So we'll celebrate a good stream with some scotch later tonight. Just rain in Ennis so far, kind of boring. Yeah, there's not really much headed into Ennis right now. Most of that is moving north of you, but this storm in the Italy area, that might be part of what could move up the road here towards the Ennis area. So you can see this little pink area here. That's going to be your increasing hail threat. So moving into Milford moving into Italy here. So it looks like that's moving more northeasterly here. So going to be moving through Italy, going to be moving towards Bardwell, and could move towards Ennis. So we will keep an eye on that. As I said, these storms, they have a tendency to intensify, and then they kind of pulse, right? They intensify and then weaken, and then intensify, and then kind of go on from there. So we will continue to monitor that and go forward. Let's see, Garrison Brothers Bourbon. I will pick some of that up. I will do that. I will say I'm fairly biased towards Scotch. I've got Scottish relatives, Scottish ancestry, so I'm a little biased towards the Scotch there. But hey, I'll try just about anything. So, that's just kind of where I stand. So, folks in Waxahachie, things are calming down there. I know that we're getting some questions about, hey, is Waxahachie done yet? Things are moving out and calming down in the Waxahachie area right now. So things are starting to kind of relax. Getting reports of hail in Ferris and hail in Italy right now. So that's going to be your two stronger storms. Right there in the Italy area, and then right there in Italy, and then right there in Ferris. So got to get back to thank you, Luke, for your donation to the Cash App. Greatly appreciated there. And as far as Blooming Grove, it looks like the hail threat will move north of you. And then, so Ray Rocket, you got me on good bourbon. I am happy to hear what you recommend. Definitely happy about that. Looks like we have a car damage, hail damage advertisement there for you. So, Italy area. Looking at some hail there. Haven't really gotten any reports on size yet. Small hail between Milford and Italy. That's what I'm hearing there. And let's zoom this out because I know that we've got people in different parts of our area. Really, in Hill County, looks like everything that was strongest in Hill County is now moved into far in southern Ellis County here. So the Italy, Milford area, southern Waxahachie, really moving towards Lake Waxahachie there. So not much in the Hillsborough area, just some light to possibly moderate rain there, but not a whole lot going on with that. And then yeah, mostly Ellis County moving into Kaufman County. And here's that downstream warning. So this storm that's moving out of the Ferris area, going to the east there. So thank you for getting a lot of thank yous. I appreciate all of you guys. Appreciate everyone that's tuned in. Great evening so far. We had one tornado warning, but that has since been allowed to expire. So it doesn't sound like we've had anything too terribly intense here. And really, it does look like most of this will probably move northeastward. So right now, not much going on in Navarro County at this moment. But I'm going to continue to watch this. Blooming Grove, it looks like you could get just the very edge of this. And Rachel, you're asking about Dawson. Not much headed towards Dawson right now. Just some rain, possibly some gusty winds kind of mixed in, but not much heading into the Dawson area right now. So not much going that way. Now, moving northeasterly towards the Ennis area, towards Ennis, Rice, Alma, that area. So that's where we're going to be watching this next hail threat moving through. So that could possibly be a factor here as well. And okay, so hearing there's hail in the Italy area. Why? So that's a good question. Why does severe storms always happen at night? Really, and this has been a good example, but the storms developed farther to the west near Abilene. And in the time it takes them to travel to North Texas, if they pop up near Abilene 3, 4, 5 o'clock, it takes several hours for them to get here. And so that's why we tend to get storms at night, because that's where they tend to start up, right around the dry line out there. And then they just take this long to get into our area. So good question there. You got your red wine by your side. Unrelated to streaming, am I playing any games lately? I am a lighter gamer. I play Final Fantasy, I believe it's 14. I don't know why I'm blanking here. Final Fantasy 14 and Lego Star Wars have been, I'm a big Star Wars fan, big Lego fan, so those have been my go-tos lately in terms of gaming. I love gaming though. Never have to worry about talking about that. So we'll zoom back into the strongest storms here, hearing reports that it's getting pretty heavy in the Creechville area. And then of course, let me move this up just a wee bit here. Yeah, west of Blooming Grove, really northwest of Blooming Grove. So pea-sized hail in the Italy domes there. Thank you so much for that report. So yeah, small hail in the really east of Italy now. So moving out of the Italy area, so moving towards, again, really northern Blooming Grove. Blooming Grove, you could get some smaller hail out of this, and then going to be moving towards Rice and Alma. So not looking at any tornado threat at this time. Mostly more of a gusty wind hail threat at this point. That's kind of what we're mostly watching at this time. Mostly concerned about. So, okay, somebody asked about t-shirts. T-shirts are quite possibly on the way. Stay tuned. These storms, the question about how fast are these moving, so we're looking at right around probably 40 to 45 miles per hour. We've seen variations in the speed here, but definitely looking like about 40 to 45 miles per hour. And Christian, the lightning threat over Waxahachie is not... Okay, so you recall... there is a fire truck now across the street here, and you heard me talk about some flashes here, or some sparks at some point. So, okay, well, we have a fire truck across the street here going on. If you'll allow me just a quick moment here. Let me just do one quick mention here. Try to let people know that there might be a situation. Not sure what's happening there, but if you see red flashing on me, that's because there's a fire truck across the street from me. So, ooh, nice lightning strike there. I guess that could be part of that. Yeah, reports of hail in Italy there. So, that just being part of that. But again, if you're seeing red flashing on my face, that's what that is. So, and I'm just trying to make sure that I don't need to take any kind of action here. So what we have going on, just kind of get recentered here. The strongest part of the storm that was in the Ferris area moving towards Kaufman. And then we do have this storm from the Blooming Grove area on up towards Ennis. And we are looking at some small hail involved probably in that storm. So that's going to continue on to the east. And that's really the two strong storms we have. There's not really an area outside of that where we have too much going on. And so we'll continue to monitor, obviously, the storm moving into Kaufman County. That's moving out of our area. And then in southern Ellis County, northern Navarro County here. And I'm fairly certain I will tell you, just to kind of take in what's happening right now, my youngest son Jensen, obsessed with fire trucks, and I let my wife know so that she could let Jensen go see the fire truck and watch them work. And now he's trying to get down out of her arms to go run and see it. And I have to make a shout out to Waxahachie and Red Oak Fire Departments because they've let Jensen come and look around and play around, and he's really enjoyed it. So thank you so much to them. I just got to take a moment to watch my son Jensen geeking out right now. And thank you so much, Elaine, for your donation. So just kind of taking care of a few things there. So these are the storms that we're watching right now. One moving out of Ellis County right now into Kaufman County. And then as far as our immediate area, from Blooming Grove on up towards Ennis. So let's take a quick look at this under the magnifying glass a little bit. And I'm not seeing anything too terribly concerning in terms of those winds. And then we'll take a look at the hail indications here. So south of Italy here, still probably looking at a bit of a hail threat there. South of Italy, looks like east of Milford there. That might be kind of an old line there. So as this continues to move eastward, I think that we're probably going to see this update pretty soon to be really more on the east side of Italy there. Did see a witch on a bicycle, but not concerned at this time. So you never know. You never know with these storms what you're going to see there. But this is that storm. So really, this is the most intense storm that we're seeing right now from Bardwell down towards Blooming Grove and Frost. I know we probably have a lot of Kaufman County folks tuning in right now. We'll take a look. Could still be some stronger winds. Let me get out of the way here in the Kaufman area. So really west of Kaufman there, so could be looking at some stronger winds there. A lot of lightning in that storm as well. And then get down to the hail threat. So east are really kind of on the southern end of Ferris there. Southeast of Ferris here. So one hail threat possibly kind of lagging there. Again, this is this is an old image, so we're gonna tune away from that because that's a very old image there. We'll wait for that to hopefully update here. I'm gonna try to take a quick look at what's going on outside the window here. So yeah, okay. Like I say, I'm just trying to make sure that if there's a situation I need to be helping with, and I'm aware of that, but doesn't look like it at the moment. Talk to some of the neighbors here. Okay. All right, so they're getting something checked out. So yeah, there's nothing expected behind this line. So once we get through with this complex, we're done. That's the good news. And it's going to be a relatively early night. I mean, it's 9 o'clock, and it's already kind of moved through our area. I am a little concerned in the Ennis area along 45 here of possibly some hail going on, some flooding going on. And Mallory, I'm not going to say what street I'm on. I'm sorry, but I don't know. I don't want everyone to know where I live. So Palmer down to Ennis, down towards Blooming Grove. So that's where we're watching this easterly motion of this particular storm. But yeah, there really shouldn't be anything behind this. Maybe some rain behind it. It looks like at this point the flooding could become a problem in some areas because it is kind of training here, but at least the heavier rain appears to be moving fairly quickly. So we have had a lot of saturation of the ground recently, and so that's been kind of a concern of mine, something that I'm paying attention to. But for the most part, yeah, it does look like the heaviest of this is going to be moving eastward here. So parts of Ellis County, really northern Navarro County here. So we'll zoom in on that again. And Hill County, just some light to patches of moderate rain here. So not much going on. Jamie, thank you so much for the donation there. Greatly appreciate that. So from Blooming Grove on up towards Ennis, this last storm, once this moves through parts of northern Navarro County, southern Ellis County. Once that moves through here, then we should be, I would say, good to go once that moves through here. So I will say I don't see any power across the street here. Okay, trying to check into what happened on the street here. So kind of an interesting deal there. But as this continues to move northeastward, the primary concern is going to be hail. Not really seeing much of a wind threat at this point. So we'll continue to watch this as it progresses. Not looking at a tornado threat. We had that earlier tonight, had that tornado warning issued in parts of Johnson County, but we are not looking at a tornado threat with this storm. And we do still have the severe thunderstorm warning in parts of Ellis County here, really kind of mostly eastern Ellis County. And that only goes for about another 5 minutes here. And we'll see if they issue another one, but really part of it, I mean, that's going to be moving into the new warning that goes into Kaufman County. So they may just kind of stick with that one. But Blooming Grove area here, looks like you could still be dealing with some hail in that area. And then towards M House and Corsicana there. Let me kind of check something. Okay. Just kind of checking in on things, making sure, once again, that I don't need to try to help somebody. Yeah, so this is really it. Once we get rid of this storm, once this moves east, that will pretty well clear our area of any major, heavier rain, heavier storms here. If we look broader across really the region here, pretty good storms moving from McKinney over into Greenville there. Here's the storm that we had earlier moving into Kaufman County. Here's that last storm that we're watching. And then down in the Waco area. So this will be a storm to watch for southern Hill County. So we'll tune into that in a moment. Looks like this one will move really closer to southern McLennan County there. So let's take a quick look here at this storm moving into parts of northern McLennan County and eventually southern Hill County, and we'll be moving into parts of Navarro County here if it holds together. So this could be the next storm that we pay attention to. Okay, just kind of checking in on some behind the scenes stuff here. And so this will be a storm that we're watching, moving through Gulson and Lacey Lakeview right now, and moving towards west into towards Mount Calm and Hubbard there. So not really seeing anything immediately alarming in that storm. Let me kind of reposition myself here. Somehow I've gotten way past where I was originally set up here. Not really seeing anything concerning in terms of the winds here, and then not really seeing anything too worrisome about with the hail threat as well. So just a heavy storm moving through northern McLennan County. That's going to continue on northeast towards southern Hill County, eventually parts of Navarro County here. So as we look back towards northern Navarro County here, what's moving through there right now, Blooming Grove up towards Ennis, this storm moving through. Again, could be some hail in that storm. I've been trying to, let's see if we have an updated image here. We do. So looks like the hail threat in the Bardwell area has diminished some. Thank you, Jamie, for your donation to the Venmo there. But it does look like the hail threat in this storm has subsided some. So really not too concerned. Not really too concerned about that, but down in northern McLennan County, going to be moving towards southern Hill County here. Could be some small hail near Lacey Lakeview and in the Gulson area, but not anything too terribly concerning at this very moment. So, as I mentioned though, in areas where you've already had some heavy rain, we are now seeing more northeasterly motion of some of these storms. So if we continue to watch these storms move northeastward and kind of track over some of the same places that have already had heavy rain tonight, then you might start to see more of a concern with flooding. So we'll watch that, and if you're in a flood-prone area where you're seeing some of that heavy rain move in, maybe keep an eye on that as you go forward. Itasca, not really seeing anything heavy or too concerning in that area, but wow, we're getting some amazing lightning in the distance here. I don't have much of a view out the window, but I can see a few strikes, and that storm south of Waxahachie in the Ennis area, really southeast, a lot of lightning in that thing. So even if we don't have the hail and the high winds going on, lightning can do a lot of damage. So that can be a major, major concern. So you really do want to pay very close attention to that as you go forward there. And not really seeing a whole lot in the comments here, and a couple of housekeeping items. And thank you, Crystal, for the donation there. First off, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in and watching and all that good stuff. And again, thank you so much for everyone in the Cash App and the Venmo. The donations keep coming in. I'm always humbled by that. I know that times are tough right now, but your support makes it easier for me to continue doing this and pay the bills, like all the vet bills I just accrued. So all of that we will be working to put behind us as well. And if somebody's saying sorry you can't donate, do not worry about it. Trust me. These donations, there is no I don't want anyone to ever feel pressured. Not in the slightest. We are in a very, very tough time right now, so I am not gonna pressure anybody or shame anybody for anything. And anybody that does shame you is absolutely wrong. Let me just say that right now. But if you're watching on Facebook, I would remind you, go check out the YouTube stream, because it's much better quality. You can put it on your TV easier. It's just an overall better experience. I have a lot of people that will actually watch on YouTube. They'll put the YouTube on their TV, and then they'll get in the Facebook stream on Facebook. Now, I'm going to mention that we are looking at the power company probably coming out. I think we have a power line issue here, just judging by the fact that there's a lack of light. So hopefully they're not going to cut the power here. They may have to, whatever it takes to kind of fix whatever problem they're looking at. So hopefully that doesn't turn out to be the case here. So I would say in the M house area, I'm not looking at a too terrific a hail threat at this point. This storm has been weakening here, so yeah, I'm not really concerned about hail in the M house area. You'll have a shot of some heavier rain, maybe some gusty winds, lightning, thunder, that kind of thing moving in. Well, I say that, and now we have this little pink here, so I'll go ahead and say you could have some small hail in the M house area, but I really don't think that we're gonna have the large hail in that area. I don't really think that's going to be part of the equation here. So apparently Amanda is in some kind of a query here to see if I can say her name. So Amanda, no pressure at all. Don't worry about that. So just happy you're tuning in. About frost, how far out is it? Well, the storm is east of frost now, moved past frost, but I will tell you that the next storm we'll be watching is this one over here near west, down towards Lacey Lakeview, moving towards Mount Calm. Another strong storm here. Doesn't look like it's severe at this time. It's not severe warned, but a good shot of some heavy rain, maybe some small hail, and the question about rice, some heavy rain there moving in, not a big hail threat. Really, most of these storms, I don't think we have any severe warnings. I think the only severe warning that's left in our particular area, our core area, is far eastern Ellis County, just kind of left in this warning here. But overall, I'll tell you that we really aren't looking at much. And Mr. Nash, 5 a.m. comes early. I know it does. It will for me too. So I totally hear you there. But this storm and the one near in northern McLennan County, neither of those at this point have me too terribly concerned. Small hail possible, of course. Either one of those, really the hail threat looks to have pretty well diminished in the storm in northern Navarro County, southern Ellis County, and then in the Lacey Lakeview area north of Waco. You are possibly looking at just some small hail near Lacey Lakeview, I would say, but not really a whole lot. So I am going to take a quick break here. We've been on the air for almost 2 hours here. I'm going to take a quick breather, get a quick drink of water and those kind of things, and we will be right back with continuing coverage of, at this point, no longer severe storms, but some strong storms moving through north central Texas. All right, everybody. Well, we are looking at storms that really, for one, the storm in the Rice Alma area. Let me get my towns right. Not looking like much at this point. And then, really, the strongest is down in the Mount Calm, Hubbard area right now, heading towards Hubbard. Probably some small hail here. This storm has kind of fluctuated up and down and those kind of things as it's gone forward. So, you know, we could still see some more intense activity there, but we will keep watching that as we go forward, and make sure that we're keeping an eye on that. So as this continues to move northeastward from Mount Calm over towards Hubbard, we will be watching that, monitoring that. But this time, you know, we are not looking at a major hail threat here. I will say we are looking at, okay, well, this is an update from what I saw a moment ago. So we are looking at right here at Hill County, McLennan County. I believe this is either Freestone or Limestone. I get the two mixed up constantly. But we are still looking at right where those counties converge, a little bit of a hail threat there. So it could be some severe hail there. Not a warning at this time, but that's going to be just kind of on the southern fringes of this area. So that's going to continue on, possibly into Navarro County as it skirts far southern Hill County there, moving towards Hubbard and Dawson. So we'll continue to follow that here and pay very close attention as that persists through. It's been an interesting evening for sure. We had the tornado warning in parts of Johnson County. That moved over to a wind threat going through Ellis County. Right across from the studio here, we apparently had a tree limb take out a power line and all that kind of fun stuff. And going forward from there, we are left with this particular storm that continues on to the northeast. And again, could be bringing some smaller hail to that area, but nothing too terribly concerning at this point. And it's interesting where we've seen a lot of new viewers on the X stream, X formerly known as Twitter, of course. And so, you know, welcome to the stream there. I think this is probably the most we've had watching on there. So, you know, thank you so much for all the views on that stream. But this storm is really the strongest storm we have left. We look over at northern Navarro County here, just a quick shot of heavy rain moving north of Corsicana here towards Rice. Then, you know, that's going to continue on to the northeast. Again, just a quick shot of heavy rain, really not much more than that going on. But Mount Calm, Hubbard, that particular area is going to be, that's where you have really the next kind of concern on this. I'm going to do a quick check here. Okay, this is Limestone. So Limestone County. So Limestone and Freestone. I get the two mixed up. Hopefully I can remember this. Freestone for Fairfield. So both F's. That's how I can remember this now. I get Freestone and Limestone mixed up all the time. Do you think the watch will be canceled once everything passes Navarro County? Yeah, so Navarro County, I mean, you go until 1 a.m. What I'll say is that as this continues to move on to the northeast, this storm does still have some severe potential. So I don't see them canceling the watch there before the next probably couple hours. Now, do I think the watch will go until 1 a.m. for Navarro County? Probably not, because this line is going to continue to move on to the east, and really things are going to get to a point where they start kind of calming down, and yeah, this will be out of there before 1 a.m. So I'm fairly certain that they will probably cancel that before that point, and we don't really have anything behind all of this activity. So that's just kind of something to keep in mind. So the heavy rain going through Rice right now. We should get a radar update here in a moment. So heavy rain moving through Rice, Alma, northern Navarro County, north of Corsicana is what I'm trying to say. And then in the Mount Calm area, again, looking like a small little hailstorm moving through towards Hubbard and Dawson, Coolidge there in northern Limestone County, now that I got that corrected there. and that will continue to move on to the northeast. And that's really the only storm we kind of have left here. So we'll watch that here. That's going to continue to move into southern Navarro County there. So we will be watching that very, very closely, and continue to make sure that we're not dealing with anything too intense, too off the wall there. So that will move into the Dawson-Richland area, southern Navarro County. So this is where we're watching that, and we'll get over to the. I wonder if we have an update yet on the VIL. Doesn't look like it. The vertically integrated liquid. Let's see. That is showing. Yeah, you see the gray there. And so that's where you usually will see your larger hail. That's when you start indicating possibly severe level hail. So that's kind of hung around a minute. So we do have a new hail core there. That's going to continue to move on towards the Hubbard-Dawson area, right there in Mount Calm right now. So that will continue on to the northeast. Again, just to orient you, that's Hubbard, that's Hill County here, far southern Hill County, Navarro County, and this is Limestone County. So right where all of these are coming together, that's where we see this storm. It's not severe warned at this time. Does not mean there won't be a severe warning. And then if we look at the winds on this, there could be some gustier winds there. Not anything too intense, though. I think that we're going to be okay for the most part there. But I will say that this little storm here, getting a pretty decent updraft, so it's building up some hail there. We'll have to watch and see if they actually severe warn this one. If they do, it will pretty exclusively be for a hail threat. Looks like you got some heavy rain popped up just south of Blooming Grove here, but not really seeing anything too intense. This is really going to be all that's left in terms of potentially severe activity. We were watching the storm near Rice. That doesn't look too intimidating to me right now. Looks like that's just going to continue on towards Henderson and Kaufman County there with just a quick shot of heavy rain. This storm right here is really the only one left that we have any kind of concern with. As we back off and look at the entire area, we could see this storm. So far, I think that's probably going to move eastward towards Waco. We put this into motion here. So we do have this weakening storm that is moving through parts of Ellis and Navarro counties. That's going to continue to move out. So that one looks like that's falling apart. Really, the biggest threat at this point is going to be on the southern end of our area. We have this storm leaving Gatesville, moving into parts of Bosque and McLennan County here. Doesn't look severe at this point. We do have the storm moving through Waco right now. Not a whole lot to that. We do now have a special weather statement regarding this storm from Hubbard over towards Wortham, up towards Corsicana right now. So we will take a quick gander at that storm. And by the way, if you're watching this wondering if I'm going to go to Warburger and get my traditional my after stream patty melt, I will absolutely be doing that. I know I don't need it, but it's just kind of a psychological thing now. I crave those patty melts after a good stream. So yeah, just a few notes on this. Winds in excess of 40 miles per hour and penny-sized hail expected with that storm. So that's this storm in, again, northern Limestone County, southern Hill County, southern Navarro County fairly soon as this continues to move on to the northeast. So that's what we're watching right now. This is pretty much the only storm left in our area that is severe. Yes, we did have that tornado warning earlier tonight, but it was brief. I doubt anything really came of that. I don't think that rotation really got organized enough. And thank you, Joshua, for your donation to the Cash App there. Greatly appreciated. So, okay, just checking in with the family there. So this, yeah, we're definitely seeing a hail threat kind of coming together, and this is a fairly small storm, but with the lift we have in this area, it's real easy for those updrafts to get really intense, and then a lot of the time, and I'll be curious to see if that ends up being the case with this storm, a lot of the time those updrafts, they really intensify for a moment and then they just don't sustain. This one could stick around, but we'll kind of watch, go forward. So toward Coolidge, towards Dawson, and eventually towards Wortham. That's where this storm will be moving. Again, 40 mile per hour wind gusts possible, as well as penny-sized hail expected with this as well. So that's kind of where we stand with the expectations with this particular storm. And I'd like to do a little bit of an experiment here. Whether you're watching through YouTube, Facebook, or the X platform, comment or reply or whatever mode I guess you use to communicate. Let me know where you're watching from. We always get a wide variety of locations on this, so if you want to reply in the stream, let me know where you're watching from, because I'd be very curious to know that little bit of information there. So, and we go first out of the gates, Corsicana. Of course, you got storms moving that way. So yeah, we will continue to follow this. I do expect it could become severe warned here in the next 15 minutes or so if it does continue to intensify. So a lot of Navarro County viewers there, so greatly appreciate that. Waxahachie, so all across our area here. South Waxahachie, Ranger Spring, yep. West Texas, great there. So different parts of our area that folks are watching from. So greatly appreciate that. Really, really love that. Navarro Mills Lake, awesome. So all across our area. Now I will say this storm, you're seeing the lightning start to pick up in this one. This storm could have some life to it. So we'll continue to kind of hone in on that. I will say that farther north, this storm that's now moving east of I-45, not much to it. It's going to be maybe a quick brief shot of some gusty winds, just very heavy rain. And so this is going to be the most intense storm in our area. So we'll kind of hone in on this one, seeing a lot more lightning in that one. So you've got some rain ahead of it. The main storm, though, right there where Hill, Navarro, and Limestone counties now come together. So this is right where we're going to see most of the activity right now. That's where we're seeing that hail threat increasing as well. Haven't seen any kind of tornado threat for a while here, so not really too concerned with that. I'll put this back into motion, kind of show the movement on this thing, but continuing to move to the northeast, really kind of east-northeast here. So again, Dawson, Coolidge, over towards Wortham there. So that moving right into far southern Navarro County, northern Limestone County, eventually northern Freestone County. So that's what we're watching right now. That's where this is going. And as I mentioned, this is kind of the weakest, or rather the strongest storm we have. The rest of the activity out there is fairly weak. Let me just check on one more thing here. Okay, I'm kind of checking into something, one of the details on the stream here, because it's not sure some of the numbers I'm seeing are accurate. We're just kind of checking into that, kind of a behind the scenes thing here. So this storm continues to kind of evolve, and not really sure how consistent that's going to be strong here. It could very well, honestly, it could very well get to the point where it kind of, as we've talked about, it increases in intensity, then it weakens, and then it kind of goes back and forth. So it is moving northeastward, though. So we will see this continuing to move into the Coolidge area. Let's zoom in one more time here, get some more communities on the map. Doesn't seem to want to really cooperate. Now, I know there's not a whole lot out there, but moving into Coolidge now, going to be moving eventually towards Richland and Angus. You can see 45 there, and then towards Richland Chambers over to Eureka. So it is moving that way into southern Navarro County. So it's making its way We'll check and see if there's any kind of new wind threat to pay attention to with this. That's the hail threat. So that's your vertically integrated liquid where you're going to see the best indication of some hail there. And then if we look at the velocity here, still seeing possibly some gusty winds, but it's definitely not anything that has me too concerned right at this moment. So I think we are good to go in that regard. But as I mentioned, there's just not a whole lot going on. Down in McLennan County, there's a couple of heavier showers there, maybe some claps of thunder there, but really not much. And then this is really the last storm we have in terms of intense weather. So once all of this moves out tonight, we're done. We have a few nice days. Now, we have another chance of rain late Saturday, early Sunday, and that will bleed over into the eclipse period of time, which is unfortunately when we could very well be looking at more clouds and possibly some rain. So may not be ideal, but I'll be reevaluating that tomorrow and, of course, sending out more information from there on that. Severe thunderstorm watch, I'm checking here. Couple of details, and yeah, the severe thunderstorm watch continues until 1 a.m. However, I will tell you that really areas outside of this storm here, so really Navarro County, Limestone, Freestone here, this is probably the last storm that has a severe weather threat with it. And thank you so much, Stephen, for the donation there through Venmo. So greatly appreciated there. Again, like I mentioned, this is all probably going to offset some vet costs we've had the last few days. Had a couple of sick animals, and so one sick, one hurt, so that'll really help there. Yeah, Italy is done. So anywhere behind these storms, you're done for the night. And realistically, I mean, outside of this one storm, this is pretty much what limits our severe weather threat at this point. So I think we're pretty well over the hump in terms of those the severe weather threat there. So I think we're good to go. I think we can say that aside from this storm, which could very well be warned here anytime, we're pretty well done with the severe weather threat. So Hillsborough, Hill County, Johnson County, Ellis County, pretty sure you're done with the severe weather threat here. Navarro County, we still have to watch this storm going forward, but for the most part, I think that we can confidently say we're not too concerned at this point. And there is the power company, right on time, here to get things done, get the problem solved there. So, question about Rockwall. Rockwall is pretty dry at this point. Not really a whole lot going on in the Rockwall area. So really the two things you have going on in terms of strong to severe thunderstorms, you have one more severe warned storm from Wills Point over to Canton, and then down again in parts of Navarro, Limestone, and eventually Freestone counties here, that one storm. That's pretty much it. It's been an eventful evening for sure. We've been on the air for what? We're going on about 2 hours and 20 minutes now. Definitely not a record, but it's enough that I'm probably going to be pretty exhausted. I doubt I will have any trouble getting to sleep tonight. Let me grab the water here. So here's the kind of the, at the moment at least, the last strong to potentially soon severe storm we have. You can see plenty of pink there. Of course, that's going to be that very heavy rain, possibly some small hail mixed in there. We have the blue box here. That's the special weather statement. And now the fire truck has to figure out how to back out of here. that's going to be tough. They're probably just going to have to back all the way down the street. Man, that stinks. I do not envy them. In Cedar Hill, about to head back up to 67 and 287 Ennis. Will it be okay for me to drive? Michelle, yeah, I mean, be careful of the slick roads because, I mean, it's been raining on them. But other than that, there's really not much storm left going into Ennis. Maybe some rain as you get through there, but really not anything too intense. We'll highlight that highlight that for you, Joshua, that special weather statement. So winds in excess of 40 miles per hour and penny-sized hail expected with this storm. Gusty winds could knock down tree limbs and blow around unsecured objects. Minor damage to outdoor objects is possible. And this storm will remain over mainly rural areas of west central Freestone, northwestern Limestone, and southwestern Hill County. So all in all, moving about, this includes I-45, and I don't know if it gives a speed or not. Yeah, moving east at 50 miles per hour. And we've seen those speeds kind of fluctuate. Let me grab, and I know that I've got some people asking for the donation links. Let me see if I can grab that. I usually won't let me copy and paste for some reason. Here we go. Okay, there it is. Yeah, so there's the Venmo link there if you want to donate. And again, thank you so much for everyone who has donated through Venmo, Cash App. That is helping to offset some of the unexpected expenses from those animals, from those pets. Expensive, very expensive to go to the vet there. So that is definitely greatly appreciated. Always there. So thank you for that. And this is what you see on the screen here. This is our last storm, pretty much our last intense storm of the night. There's a few other storms possibly moving through. McLennan County could move through southern parts of Hill County, northern Limestone, parts of Navarro later tonight, but those are not really looking at severe weather. So there's the question of if this storm is going to miss Richland Chambers. Really, no. I mean, it's going to pretty well move across Richland Chambers Lake here, Richland Chambers Reservoir. So that will continue to move on to the northeast towards Eureka, Angus, Mildred, Eureka there. So expect that storm to be moving in through that area. It says about 50 miles per hour, so it's not crawling. I mean, it's moving at a pretty decent speed. So that's going to continue on to the northwest. And so just be prepared for that storm. Not really looking at much of a wind threat, mostly a hail threat at this point. So some small hail passing through. That's going to be really the biggest difference there. So we're for the most part, that's kind of what we're looking at here. So just continue to watch that as it moves your way into almost exclusively into Navarro County here. You, of course, have moving towards Powell, Kearns, Goodloe, some heavy rain here. I don't really expect a whole lot out of that. We can zoom out and take a look. Just a thin line at this point of some heavy rain. Not looking at really anything too intense there. Could be some quick shot of a quick little downpour south of Rice there. But this storm is just about all we've got left in terms of those stronger storms, that stronger activity. So moving out of Coolidge now, moving towards Wortham, up towards Corsicana. You could get clipped by a small piece of this, but I really think that's going to be just about it for that area. So not really expecting much more than what you see here. All right, just kind of checking some messages and things. Okay. All right, perfect. Cool. All right, so we have well, Christian, I'm not going to give the last, it asked for a phone number. I'm not going to give those last numbers on the air. But if you're seeing a, I believe it'll show you a picture there. I mean, it's going to have my initials, and it's if it's the one you see there, that's me. So I think you're safe to go ahead and send that through. You can send it without confirming it, but that should be sufficient there. So, but I'm just not willing to give the last four numbers of the cell phone number on the air. Crazy things happen when you give that when somebody that's a little more notable with a bigger following, kind of like myself, puts that information out there. You got to be careful with that. So I won't do that on air, but I think you're good to go. You should be able to push that through without having to worry about it. So our last storm here continues on and does look like, just with the last couple of frames here, that could be weakening here. So could be cycling down a little bit as these often do. We'll take a look at the velocity here. Could be some gustier winds south of Oak Valley moving towards Wortham there. But again, not seeing any kind of rotation with this storm. So it's not a tornado situation or anything like that. We saw that earlier tonight. Doesn't really look like, yeah, Christian, that should be me. That sounds about right. So not really seeing anything in southern Navarro County that has me too concerned about this. I think the special weather statement will probably stay there. I don't know if this is going to be warned necessarily. We'll take another look at the some hail indications. Yeah, it looks like the hail threat's probably scaling down a little bit too. Thank you so much, Christian, for that donation. Greatly appreciated there. And so that's going to continue to move on to the northeast into Navarro County here, but does look like it's losing some of that steam. It's continuing on to the east. Plenty of lightning with it, clearly. But it does look like that storm is kind of running out of steam a little bit as it persists eastward. And I think we're pretty well set to say that storm, if it continues to weaken, will be just a heavy rain producer as it gets closer to Richland Chambers Lake there. So that's what we're watching here, moving towards Richland there. Eventually could move towards the Kearns, Goodloe area, Eureka, Mildred, Richland very soon as that persists on. So I'm going to, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. We're going to go ahead and wrap up live coverage here. We do still have that storm, and I'm going to continue to monitor that, and we will continue to post updates. But I'm going to give myself a breather here. Pretty well worn out from not only a very long weekend, a long day, and so I'm going to give myself a little bit of a break, but I'll continue to monitor this storm, continue to post updates. Really, Facebook and X are the two best places to follow those updates there. But I'll continue to monitor this, and if needed, we will bring severe weather coverage back, the live coverage. But for now, going to bring this to an end here, and thank you so much for watching, and continue to follow us for updates on this, the much prettier forecast the rest of the weekend. Yes, the potentially cloudy forecast for the eclipse coming up next Monday.